What if I told you that the system was never broken, it was built this way? What if your life, the 9 to 5, the bills, the endless chase for more, isn't just unfortunate, but engineered? You weren't born free. You were born into a game. A game with rules you never agreed to, but follow anyway. Every society, every government, every economy relies on one thing to stay stable: a permanent bottom class. A mass of people who produce, but never own. Who chase success, but never reach it. Who are kept just comfortable enough to keep running. This isn't about morality. It's not that the rich are evil and the poor are lazy. No, it's far more calculated than that. The system doesn't need everyone to be rich. In fact, if everyone was, who would clean the toilets? Who would sweep the streets? Who would package your next day shipping? The truth is brutal. The bottom must exist, so the top can stand. And the most dangerous part, you've been told it's your fault you're still down there. From the moment you were born, they started shaping your world. Not with chains, but with ideas. Success means owning a house. Happiness means spending money. Freedom means working harder than the person next to you. These weren't truths. They were scripts, written by those who profit from your belief in them. You've been conditioned to chase validation, to earn approval, to compete, not with the system, but with each other. The education system didn't teach you how money works. It taught you how to obey, how to memorize, perform, comply. Because a population that questions nothing is easier to manage. Then came the second layer of control: comparison. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn highlight reels of lives you think you should live. You don't need a mansion. You just need to feel behind. That pressure, it keeps you buying, keeps you working, keeps you quiet. The rules of the game aren't hidden. They're broadcasted 24/7 through influencers, commercials, even your favorite Netflix shows. They define what's cool, what's smart, what's worth it. And while you're busy trying to win that game, you never ask who wrote the rules. Let's leave theory for a moment and step into reality. In South Korea, a growing number of young people have embraced a lifestyle called tamping. It means lying flat. Why? Because no matter how hard they work, they'll likely never own a home. They've realized the game is rigged, so they've stopped playing. In Japan, a similar phenomenon, the hikikomori, young men who withdraw completely from society, not out of laziness, but out of despair. The corporate ladder they were told to climb, it doesn't lead anywhere anymore. In the United States, 60% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck, even those earning six figures. People are drowning in student debt for degrees that barely pay off, working to jobs just to afford rent. They were told, go to school, get a degree, get a job, buy a house. But the house now costs 10 times what it did for their parents. The jobs offer no security. And the dream, it's a moving target. Meanwhile, the top 1% keep winning, not because they work harder, but because they own the game board. They own the assets, the land, the stocks, the data, the algorithm that decides what you see and what you believe. So ask yourself, if millions of people are working harder than ever, why are they still losing? The answer is chilling. Because effort doesn't matter when the game is rigged. The most effective prison is the one you don't even see. And the cruelest form of slavery is when the slave believes he's free. You've been handed choices, but only within a system you didn't build. You're told, choose your job, choose your lifestyle, choose your identity. But not once are you asked to choose the system itself. This is what makes modern control so dangerous. It doesn't demand obedience with violence. It manipulates perception. It defines success, failure, beauty, masculinity, femininity, intelligence, then lets you police yourself. Step out of line. Not only will you be judged, the crowd will crucify you. You're rewarded not for thinking, but for conforming. For saying the right things, looking the right way, consuming the right products. And it works beautifully. Because once the crowd absorbs the system's values, the crowd becomes the system. That's why people shame the poor, even though they're one paycheck away from poverty themselves. That's why people brag about overworking, as if burnout is a badge of honor. That's why a kid making $100,000 feels like a failure. Because someone on YouTube is making $1 million. The system no longer needs to punish you. You'll punish yourself. You'll chase perfection, success, validation, and call it freedom. But here's the ugly truth. You're not choosing. You're reacting. Reacting to ads. to algorithms, to false metrics of value created by people who profit from your discontent. So what's the lesson here? That society is evil, that the rich are monsters. No, it's far more subtle and more terrifying. The system doesn't hate you, it just doesn't care. It only cares that you play your role quietly, consistently, without resistance. It doesn't need you to be miserable, just distracted, just busy enough to never question, just comfortable enough to stay silent. That's why it gives you weekends, entertainment, a new phone every 2 years, a vacation you post online to prove you're winning, even if you're empty inside. The tragedy is not poverty. The real tragedy is mental poverty. A society starving for meaning but stuffed with distractions. A world where people don't ask, who wrote the rules? But instead ask, why am I not winning yet? You were told to chase goals, but not to question who benefits when you do. Here's the raw truth. If you didn't write the rules, you're just playing someone else's game. And the more obedient you are, the more useful you become to them. So don't just ask, how do I escape poverty? Ask, who defined poverty in the first place? Because if the prize isn't real, then running faster only means dying tired. But here's the light in the dark. Awareness is the first act of rebellion. When you see the game, you start to play differently. You stop chasing every carrot. You stop comparing. You start thinking, the world doesn't need more obedient workers. It needs more awake minds. Not everyone can be rich, but anyone can be free if they understand what's real and what's just a leash-painted gold. You were born into a system, but you don't have to die in one. Know the rules. Know the game. Play on your own terms.